Hello, everyone. This is Michael. I'm a product manager at Deliverr.
I'm Michael. I'm one of the founders here at Deliverr.
Awesome. Today, we're going to go ahead and get started with a leadership update followed by Q&A. So feel free to, Michael will walk through some slides, and then, but in the meantime, you should feel free to post questions in the channel if you have any. And after Michael goes through the slides, we'll take some time to answer as many of the questions as we can. And yeah, we'll kind of go from there. So Michael, go ahead, kick things off.
All right. So let's get into the updates. Right now, in terms of warehouse closures, we've had a pretty solid week in that we've had no new warehouse closures. We are obviously monitoring that very closely. In the past, we've had closures in Reading, Pennsylvania, and Richmond, Virginia. Also a few isolated cases in New Jersey, but those New Jersey cases did not result in a warehouse closure. So we're still monitoring this closely. We will keep you updated if there is a closure. If you have been affected by a warehouse closure, you should be familiar with what the protocols look like. And so anyway, so far that is the status of the network for the past week. In terms of the three most common questions we get and the three biggest areas to touch on, number one is warehouse reduced capacity. So certain warehouses, particularly in areas where you've seen bigger COVID outbreaks, and those are predominantly states in the Northeast, states in New Jersey, states in Pennsylvania. They have had a little bit less labor in those locations over the past 3 to 4 weeks. As they've tried to space out employees, but also certain warehouse workers have not been, showing up for work because there's obviously a risk associated with that. And so you do have reduced labor in a lot of the Northeast locations, and that is leading to some of the delayed receiving times, some of the delayed outbounds, and is a piece that we are certainly looking at. We are trying to get a better understanding around labor capacity in each of the different locations and where we're at with each of the Northeast locations, because we are trying to ramp things back up as we saw kind of more of a decline in productivity last few weeks. Now this week and next week we should see that start to pick up again. In terms of when a warehouse closure happens, all orders that would have been sent to that warehouse are diverted to other operational warehouses. That's if you have SKUs in other locations. If you just have a SKU in that location, then we're going to cancel those orders, and we'll send you a notification saying, hey, we canceled these orders. Try to ship it yourself. If you can't, please cancel it on the sales channel. Now, as part of this, one of the biggest ways we're trying to mitigate the risk of impact from a warehouse closure is SKU mirroring. So we are trying to push your SKUs to a lot of different locations. And the more you can handle SKU mirroring, when you do see an isolated warehouse closure, it does mitigate the impact of that. And so for some of our most biggest sellers, for sellers who have a lot of, who are selling through quite often, you are seeing a lot of SKU mirroring. So when the warehouse does close, they're not impacted as heavily. Last is you are seeing shipping disruptions. And so you're starting to see certain carriers degrade in their performance. It's predominantly with the nationwide carriers, not so much with the regional carriers, but still, you still see a little bit there. And if you do see, and if we do see a carrier start to underperform or simply miss pickup times at a warehouse, we'll switch carriers. So we are a multi-carrier platform. We use a wide array of different carriers. And so that's something that we're also monitoring. So we are monitoring pickup times across all the different 30 plus nodes in the network, trying to get a good understanding around where we see delays, and then adjusting accordingly. So on the inbound side, we are seeing delays on the inbound side. Now, this is due to two pieces. Number one is a labor piece. And so we have been pushing more labor to focus on our outbound, so shipping orders to customers, than to focus on inbounds. This is something that you've probably seen similarly with Amazon, with Fulfillment by Amazon. They've done some similar labor adjustments in their warehouses. Pretty standard type of procedural adjustment. But also, this is due to a second component, which is that guidance from the CDC has indicated that the virus can sit on cardboard for up to 24 hours. And so by putting in a 24-hour buffer, you're also helping ensure worker safety, which is really important. As you guys are aware, you've seen kind of what the impacts are when a warehouse does close due to a COVID outbreak. And so you want to mitigate that to the best of our ability. And so that's one of the reasons why we have extended the receiving SLA by 24 hours. But we are still accepting new inbounds at this time for both essential and non-essential categories. There's also no limit restriction on how much you can send in. However, if you are going to send in more than 4,000 units on an inbound, you're going to have to contact us, and we're going to manually create an inbound that goes to more than 4 locations. So you've probably already seen that in your Deliverr account. That, again, is us trying to spread out the inventory to help mitigate impacts of a potential COVID outbreak, but also load balance the network so we can continue to take on the amount of volume that we've been doing. If we go to outbounds, so shipping and delivery, so standard orders are delayed around 24 hours. That's typically just in the beginning of the week. The reason why is that you see a buildup that comes from Friday afternoon all the way through Monday morning. And so that's kind of where you see this buildup in a backlog of orders. And so that's where you're going to see a few delays around 24 hours. Last week, we had to delay standard orders around 48 hours just because we had a very, very high load of orders. There are certainly things that we're doing to help mitigate this. And so, number one and the most important thing to see is that this is not going to affect on-time delivery. However, we are trying to get rid of this delay because it's not ideal. You are going to see, on-time shipping metrics degrade Monday and Tuesday, and then they're going to pick up later in the week. We've started setting up these like pop-up fulfillment locations that can handle surge capacity. So another reason why we're having times when you inbound a SKU with more than 4,000 units, we're having you inbound to more than 4 locations, like 6, 7, 8 locations. Part of it is we're sending those very fast-moving SKUs to these pop-up or these surge capacity locations that we've set up, which are set up to handle very fast-moving, high-velocity items. And so that's something that's been helping. So that's why you're seeing a little bit less delay this week than you might have seen last week or the week before. And we ran a lot of inventory transfers as well in the network to get some of these really fast-moving SKUs. And we define fast-moving as something moving over 1,000 orders a day, 2,000 orders a day. And there's a few of those items in the network right now. Trying to move those out to into these surge locations. So that's where you're seeing on the outbound side. We're setting up even more surge capacity this week. We're doing more transfers this week. And then also we have new warehouses that are coming in onboarding just for the bulk of just regular capacity, which should help chip away at these delays. So I'm hoping in the next 2 to 3 weeks we won't have these delays anymore. But as a general understanding around where Deliverr is at relative to before, we're doing a little bit more than our Cyber Monday volume every single day right now. So in e-commerce, typically you're not set up to handle Cyber Monday volumes every day. It's something you build up to. You have a 24-hour period, and then you go back to normal. And so that's certainly taken some adjustment, but I do think we are heading in the right direction, and we're starting to gain capacity versus lose capacity, which is important. Fast tag coverage. And so this area has been a little bit disappointing. We have certainly had to shrink our fast tag coverage. You didn't see an impact here at the beginning of COVID, but now you're starting to see an impact. And part of it is due to you are seeing a lot of delivery disruptions, but also you're seeing less drivers, less truck drivers there for these different carriers, and that's creating a little bit less capacity as well. So we're seeing on-time performance issues with our core carriers. You're going to see bigger reductions in fast tag coverage. And so all the major carriers, the national carriers, have suspended service level guarantees. However, we're still finding a way to get it within the service levels, but you're going to see probably only around 1/3 of your orders going out on 2-day, somewhere between 1/3 to a half of orders going on 2-day. The remainder now have to be on standard. We're trying to see, when we can increase this. We get updates every day from the different carriers, seeing and monitoring their performance, but still has not yet come back to normal. Now, that being said, it's not as bad as it was actually in late holiday season this past year. This past year, late holiday season was actually the worst it's ever been. So we're not at that level, so that's good. But we're not where we want to be, which is nationwide 2-day coverage and 40% of the U.S. on next day coverage. And so that still needs to work. And we'll keep you updated as things adjust there. All right, if we go to FDA updates, I think this is most updated, but you guys might know this better than I do. Right now, FDA is accepting inbounds for now non-essential categories, but they now have a quantity limit. And for some of our sellers, this quantity limit is pretty extreme. For example, we're having the biggest exercise equipment seller join Deliverr this week, and they have the fastest selling, some of the fastest selling exercise accessories on Amazon. And for them, their quantity limitation, they're limited to inbound a day of inventory, each shipping plan. And so that's not very effective for them. And so that's why for us, we're having to handle the majority of our FBM volume starting tomorrow. And so I've definitely seen some really extreme quantity limitations here. Other cases, it hasn't been as extreme, but tends to be more extreme for the very high velocity items, because obviously they take up the most labor. It does look like the prime delivery times are improving quite a bit. That's predominantly on the 1P side of things, but we're seeing improvement on the 3P side. The buy box changes is the same as before. FBM listings compete FDA listings, and then the meltable inventory component. Hopefully you're able to get that inventory out. If you weren't able to, unfortunately that inventory's most likely been destroyed at Amazon facilities. All right. Latest with SFP remains closed. There's been no movement on this. And so as such, the Deliverr program remains closed. Selling strategies and category performance. So seeing some interesting adjustments here. On the home side, and the general theme here is that you're going to see some downward adjustments from the peak. But it's still very high. It's not quite what it was before, but still certainly higher than the average before. So around 35% over monthly. But weekly, seeing around a 10% drop on the super category of home. Again, we look at things, you have a super category, which is like home, and then you have a subcategory, which is kitchen and dining. And so if you look at the subcategories, there's still subcategories that are seeing upward trends. However, kitchen and dining seeing a pretty big downward adjustment weekly. Monthly is still up 20%, but weekly dropping around 15%. We go to home improvement. This one around 20% monthly improvement, but weekly down 8%. I think this is going to be interesting. I think as you start to see better weather, this category may come back up. I think the 8% adjustment may just be temporary, and you may see some more upward mobility in this category as we get into the next month or so. Home improvement. So if we look at this subcategory within the home improvement super category, heating, cooling, air quality. So there you're seeing 80% monthly change, but weekly 13% improvement. So certainly a healthy category there. Really interesting. We'll follow this one closely. Clothing. This one continues to be a whirlwind. So the super category on its own is actually up quite a bit. And however, one thing to take this with a grain of salt with Deliverr is that we tend to be indexed on the cheaper side of clothing. So, our average selling price is somewhere around, for clothing items, is going to be under $40. And so for cheaper clothing, it's certainly seeing a good improvement. Weekly, it's around consistent. Monthly, certainly seeing a big improvement. So these are like affordable handbags, affordable dresses, continue to do really well. Where you see declining is in the premium side. But if you look at bags and accessories, again, we tend to be indexed on the cheaper side of things, seeing really, really solid improvement. Not only is this back to where it was before, but it's actually exceeded beyond that point. And weekly, you're seeing a slight 1% movement up. And so again, I think this is really important. We launched our multi-channel capability I think around 2 weeks ago, where you can now connect multiple channels to Deliverr. And this is a really big opportunity. You know, the more channels you're on, you're capturing more buyers. You have a huge influx of buyers online. The volume is staying extraordinarily high. And you want to be on as many places as possible. So we recently added our Wish integration that we mentioned in the newsletter. We have our eBay integration coming out within a few days. And then we're working on programs with some of the other channels that are listed here as well. And so with that last piece, we're continuing our COVID free inbound promos. So you may still be targeted for free inbound. It would be populating your account. Again, this is all algorithmically determined based on the categories that we are seeing extremely high velocity on. And so that's where you would see a free inbound in your account. If you think that your items qualify, feel free to contact us. Your account manager has the ability to review this and submit an addition to the algorithm. And that's it. So with that, let's get into some Q&A.
All right. So I answered a few questions just at the start. The first one I'll go over, which is a question from Paul around Walmart isn't accepting a product right now. Can Deliverr fulfill it? And really that comes down to, you know, the type of product and whether we have the capabilities to fulfill it. In this case, it's a hand sanitizer. And so if you're curious about whether or not Deliverr can fulfill a product, the right thing to do is reach out through an account manager and then you know, submit the MSDS sheet. We'll then review it from the operational side and say, hey, can we fulfill this or not? And then get back to you with an answer. And then there was a question around how to start with Deliverr. You don't have to watch these videos to start with Deliverr. We're happy that you do if you want to, but anybody can create an account and create an inbound to Deliverr, which actually kind of gets into the next question that Don has around he needs to create a inbound from China and is looking for step-by-step help. You know, Don, I'd love to do this and I'd be happy to do it on our screen and like show it. The thing is that I would need to know, you know, the ship from address and then also the SKUs and the quantities that you want to inbound. And so it might be kind of difficult to do in a live stream, but or like a live stream like this, but I'm happy to try, but I would just need a bit of information from you to do it and beforehand if we're going to show it. So like if you want to work quickly to write the ship from address and then also the SKUs and the units, then we might be able to show it during this. Another question that I'd ask is, you know, if you're going to inbound it, if you're sending from China, one thing that you'll have to remember is that we don't ship on, you can't ship on Deliverr's small parcel rates. So if you want to ship from China, you can use that address to ship from China, but you'll be shipping it on your own rates once it reaches the United States, if that makes sense. So that's either going to be, you're either going to ship it on freight to our facilities, or you're going to ship it on small parcel on your rates, but you still need to get our box contents labels, which are the most important thing, onto those boxes, whether that's done in China or in the US, it doesn't matter to us. And then there's a question from Paul. Let's see here. We want to quote our actual trend of delivery destinations, but our portfolio is in Walmart only.
So I think the question, was this the question about getting the sanitizer approved?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a process with Walmart to try to review certain items that they won't publish. It's certainly tricky. What we've noticed is obviously you have price gouging constraints, but for certain categories even that it is like, for example, we had a merchant who had legitimate N95 masks. And their policy though is that you should not be selling it on a marketplace. You should be donating it to hospitals or things like that. So they have identified certain categories where they've made that decision. That being said, I mean, we can review it and let you know what they come back with. I think this is also a piece around, you know, you want to be able to list on a lot of different places because you're not really, each channel has different rules and they're approaching it very differently. And so what might work on Amazon doesn't work on Walmart. What might work on Walmart doesn't work on Amazon. What works on eBay doesn't work on Walmart, conversely. And so the best bet is to list on a lot of different places. And then you're maximizing your opportunity of being able to list it. Every now and then you do see an item that does fit the requirements and should be sellable, but unfortunately gets kind of looped in with another category. And it can sometimes take a while to change that and overturn that. So it's certainly difficult, trying to get these overturned. I'm not saying it's impossible. It happens, but it takes some time. So that's why by listing in a lot of places, you're mitigating your risk for sure.
All right. There's a question from Alejandro on they have a product online in a few different channels, but they want to see our rates for delivery. And we can actually show this, which I think is pretty helpful. There's two places where you can see it. So let me just go to enable screen share my entire screen. Okay. So if you want to see what Deliverr's fulfillment rates are, there's two places where you can do that. One place where you can do that is on our cost calculator on Deliverr.com. And what you can do here is basically scroll down and either plug in your Amazon product URL or ASIN. And then let's just say that you're selling, climbing gear. And then what you'll see here is Deliverr's fulfillment rates. Now, the thing is, if you do not have, Michael, correct me if this has changed, but if you haven't created a Deliverr account yet, you're not going to see this rate for Walmart today. And the reason for that is that, well, yeah, Michael, how can you best explain the reason for that?
Yeah, it's just part of the policy. We have to have, you have to be signed in to be able to see the rates. Yeah, I mean, different sales channels have different policies and rules that they have to comply by. And so, that's a rule with that component. But the moment you sign up, legally we're allowed to show the rates. So we made it a one-click sign up, and actually the moment you're signed up, you do see a version where you should be able to see the Walmart 2-day rates and the cost calc. However, regardless, you can always see this in your Deliverr account.
Yeah.
Covered there.
So yeah, so here on the cost calculator, you can see our various fulfillment rates, and then also storage pricing. So for the amount of units that you have in Deliverr, what's the cost? The average monthly storage cost per unit. Now, in your account, there's a couple other places where you can look at your fulfillment rates. So let me show this. So if you go over to the inventory tab, what you can do is in this column here, it shows fulfillment fee. And if you select a fulfillment fee that you want to be able to view, so for example, Walmart 2-day, then you'll see the fulfillment rates get updated. Two little things to point out. If the icon is locked, it just means that Deliverr has received this SKU from you, and we've confirmed that this is the fee that you are paying. If you see a pencil icon, what it means is that, hey, we imported from your listing tool or from your channel that these are the dimensions of your product. We haven't confirmed them though on our side, but assuming your dimensions are correct, then this is the fee that you'll be paying. And if you want to, you can always change those to be more accurate. And then once we receive the product, we will then confirm it. We'll take the dims and weights and we'll update them if necessary. And you should get an email. There should be an automatic email notification if our costs are higher than what we're expected. And then finally, if you just see an estimate, it means that we don't have dims and weights. And what that means is you have to plug it in to get a cost. And once you do that, it will be populated and saved. So the other place where you can also see fulfillment rates is if you create a new inbound and you select, say chuck it. So, you can also see the fulfillment fee here. And again, so you could go through, create an inbound and see, figure out exactly what the fulfillment fee would be for by SKU, for example. So, all right.
Oh, this is a great question. I want to switch listing tools.
Mm.
So let's show multi-channel. You get a second chance, NG.
I don't have it set up right now to show it. But let me think about it for a second. Is there a way for me to show it? Let me just look real quick. Hold on. Why don't you explain it while I'm looking?
Okay, so we're going to send an email out later this week. So we launched the ability for self-serve. You no longer need to contact support. You can add as many channels as you want. You can remove as many channels as you want. You can do whatever your heart desires with our 10 or 9 or 10 integrations that we support. And all these integrations are free of charge, obviously. So we had a question. I'm on Sellbrite. I want to change to Seller Cloud. Do I have to add Seller Cloud first? And I would like to try for 1 week and then erase Sellbrite, or what's the best way to do it? So that's a great question. I think what's important is that you cannot have both on at the same time. That's the golden rule. Don't ever have two things connected to a sales channel connected to Deliverr at the same time, because then you're going to start getting some really strange behavior. So you need to make sure one is on, one is off. One is on, one is off. And then you can flip between the two in a somewhat responsible way. It's risky, but it can be done as long as you're managing it right. And so really what you want to do in any situation where you're doing a listing tool switch, you want to make sure your listings are completely set up in each different tool. So you want to make sure your listings in Sellbrite match identical to the listings in Seller Cloud. And then what you want to do is that you want to connect, but you keep Sellbrite connected to Walmart. Don't connect Seller Cloud connected to Walmart. Then what you're going to want to do is move Deliverr over to Seller Cloud, then disconnect Walmart from Sellbrite, then reconnect Walmart to Seller Cloud, and then you should be good. But you need to move Walmart and Deliverr at the same time. You can't move Deliverr to Seller Cloud but keep Sellbrite connected to Walmart, because then Sellbrite's going to keep pulling the orders and Seller Cloud won't be getting the orders to send to Deliverr. So that's really important. Another option is that you can keep Deliverr connected to both, but you move which listing tool is connected to Walmart. So you start with Sellbrite connected to Walmart, and then you switch it. You flip it to Seller Cloud connected to Walmart. However, there's going to be some unshipped orders if you're shipping a lot, and you're going to have to upload those tracking numbers manually. So that's the other way you can do it. Were you able to pull it up?
Yeah, I've got it pulled up. I don't know how this will react, just because I don't know how Stuart has set it up. So, but I can at least give an overview of what the features look like, and that's like a decent place to start. So, let me share my screen again. So, one thing you'll notice is this is a internal account. It's like just it's in production, so it is a Deliverr account. It's just one that I use and the engineering team use to like test things. So you will see some differences between it and your account. But one thing to point out is the way that we've started thinking about channels is we used to have a button here for fast tags, and now we call it channels. And the idea here is that you can add different sales channels to your account, and those sales channels tie to a specific product in Deliverr. So you kind of have to think of it as the source of truth from Deliverr's perspective is the product in Deliverr, which you could say is like, like that is what everything is tying to. And so in this case, what you see here is there are the eBay channel is active. We have a Shopify channel where the credentials are invalid. There's a listing mirror channel. There's a seller active channel with invalid credentials. There's a Walmart channel that's active. There's an invalid Geek Seller channel. And so what you could do is you could add sales channels, and you can also control the sales channels that are active. So for example, if you wanted to, you could disconnect the eBay channel or update the credentials. And then, for example, here what you'd see is Shopify, right? So let's say you're a seller, you want to use Shopify as a listing tool for Deliverr. then you have what you can say is like, hey, well, I want to have Shopify 2-day delivery on my Shopify store. And so you could activate that. But then you could also activate a beta program that we are doing with Google for Google Shopping. And you could activate that program as well. And if you wanted to, you could also activate like a Walmart, activate a Walmart fast tag. So let's say you had Walmart connected to your Shopify store too. So you could say confirm. You would go through these steps. I'm not sure. Yeah, I figured that would happen. You go through these steps, and then the Walmart channel would then get activated. Now, the nice thing, like as I said before, the biggest thing when it comes to having multiple channels connected to the same Deliverr account is how you manage the SKUs in Deliverr. So if we go to, let's see, a good
PVC
example.
pipe is connected.
Is that the one that's a good one? Let's see. All right, PVC pipe. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so what we're saying here is that this SKU is linked through Listing Mirror. Now you can, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it. So these are the various channels that could be connected to this SKU. And in this case, right, what we're saying is, hey, we don't see the Walmart SKU. Now, what that would mean is like when Deliverr imports, when you connect a different channel, let's say you had Listing Mirror connected, but you wanted for some reason to connect Walmart directly to Deliverr, didn't want that going through Listing Mirror. Then what you do is when you connect Walmart directly through the channels button over here, we're going to import the product catalog from Walmart. And let's say that you have these two SKUs, one in Listing Mirror that's connected to, say, I don't know, eBay, for example, and that SKU is the same. You have the same item, right? But it's under a different SKU ID in Walmart. When we import the Walmart catalog, we're going to automatically try and match, right? We're going to say like, oh, like do any of the imported products from Walmart match to any that we see in Listing Mirror, from the catalog and Listing Mirror? And when we say, hey, they don't match, then what we're going to say is, hey, here, for example, we're going to say we don't see this product in Walmart that you just connected to. In which case, what you're going to have to do is start to search to find, like, say, the right product. And then you will confirm that this SKU and Deliverr, right, you want connected to, I don't know, let's check, which is something that probably a fake SKU that we created. And then when you confirm that, the SKU is then now connected. So what this would mean is for the Walmart, now whenever we get an order from Walmart for that SKU that had a funny name, I don't know, let's check, then we're going to fulfill it from the inventory from PVC pipe. And that's basically how the process goes. And you can also unlink if you want to as well. So at a high level, what we've allowed sellers to be able to do is connect multiple sales channels to Deliverr. We import those product catalogs, and then we tie them to a specific product in Deliverr, which we kind of consider to be a master SKU. And you then are able to control which products are tied to that master SKU, and then the inventory. And then when we receive orders, regardless of whether it's from eBay directly or it's through Listing Mirror and your Shopify account, if those orders are tied to the same SKU and Deliverr, then we're going to fulfill those orders from that SKU. So hopefully that kind of gives somewhat of an overview. It is, I'd say, a new process. It's like, obviously we're just releasing it. It adds complexity, but there is help center documentation about it. And, like, we're very open for feedback on how we can make this as smooth as possible as sellers use it. So.
You want to try the inbound demo?
Yeah, I want to try. So I was just seeing that the thing is that I need a SKU ID.
Can you use a Chinese from address?
You can, yeah, you can. You just can't purchase on our rates, but you can use that as the address, which is kind of cool.
Okay, because I know there's a few sellers who are doing this now.
Yeah. So like Tush, they do that.
Edu's doing it too.
So let me see here. Ship to Deliverr, 83 cartons. So yeah, so I need the SKU ID. Here's what I can do though, is why don't I just show what an inbound looks like? And maybe that will be one way of kind of helping you out, Don. So let me just do that. So I'd like to share, I'm just going to share creating an inbound to Deliverr. And let's just kind of, I'll walk through it as if I were doing it from China, although I've never personally created an inbound like this before. So the first thing that you do when you want to create an inbound to Deliverr is you go to the inbounds tab, and then click create new. The first thing that you're going to want to make sure is that, hey, it's the product that I'm going to send to Deliverr. Is it a restricted product, or is it a product that Deliverr can fulfill? So we have a list here. It will throw a pop out of the products that we do not accept. It's really important that you first read that because we do not want situations where, sellers send in products that we can't fulfill and we have to return them. It's just like bad all around. So that's one thing you have to make sure you read. The next thing that you need to decide is whether or not you want to pack your inbound as case pack products or as individual products. If you decide, so case pack products are a set of same SKU, equal number of units, right, in a box. Whereas individual products, you're sending in individual units, you can pack them kind of however you want. So the nice thing is why you would make this choice is that if you select case pack products and always and forever your SKU A always ships in boxes of 10 units each, then we won't ask you to split a box into multiple. We won't ask you to split a case ever. We will always say that if we want you to ship to 2 locations or 4 locations, we're always going to split it at a case level and not at an individual unit level. So let's say that's what you want to do. And then let's say my favorite SKU is this Chuck It Ball. And we'll say that the number of units per case is 10, and the number of cases I want to send is also 10. You can always add products. You won't necessarily hit a limit, but at around 100, I think it becomes the shipment generation can take a bit longer. So just in general, like the system does very well with under 100 SKUs, which most sellers find themselves in. But so after selecting products, the next thing that you have to do is make sure that you're providing us with scannable barcode labels. So it happens to be that this SKU we use for testing, so it has all of its scannable labels filled out. But the important thing is here, by SKU, you want to make sure that you tell Deliverr what is the scannable label that will be on every unit. And that's really important because during the check-in process, right, we're going to validate that that product has that barcode label. And if it doesn't, then it will be unknown to us. And we'll have to work with you to figure out what is the correct label and potentially relabel it. Now, you can add up to 5 different scannable labels per product. So I could pick another one here if I wanted to. There are 3 accepted label formats. One is a Deliverr label, which just says that, hey, like you'll use the unique identifier that Deliverr has for this product, which we call a DSKU. The other is a UPC or EAN, and the other is FNSKU or ASIN. So once you've put in the barcode, the scannable barcode labels, then all you're going to do is click next. Deliverr will ask you if you want to download labels. In the case that you can download the labels for, if you wanted to, like, say, for example, you wanted to send the inventory to Deliverr to have DSKU labels, then you would download them like this. You'll get a download icon, you can open it up, and then you can send that to a printer and obviously print it. This is the shipping from, right? So we try and point out some common ship from mistakes. If you want, so I'll just repeat it here. If you want to use our small partial rates, so ship on Deliverr's carrier count, then you must use a US address. If you want to ship, but if you want to, like, say, use a China address, you can do that. You just can't ship on our rates, right? And then we have some kind of helpful things around making sure that the address is formatted correctly, because sometimes it will lead to issues, especially if you use, like, for example, a different, you can't use like a different language, for example. So I've never tried like a China I'm trying to think of the best way to do it. Let me see. Ooh, it's quite the address. Let's see here. So let's see. Hangzhou City. Let's see. Man, I do not know how Chinese addresses work at all. Is that right? Oh no. Let's see. China. Yeah, so I'm sorry, Dawn, but I'm probably butchering how you would actually want to put this in. But we'll see if this will work. Number, and it should give you some idea. Wow, okay. I think that's more right. Let's see. Okay. I think that's right. We'll see. All right. So you can see here that like you can get through the address step using a foreign address. Now this is actually pretty important. So the next step that you're asked is how fast do you want inventory received? And basically what we're saying is that if you want inventory available for sale more quickly within, we say 3 business days, then you want to ship to 4 locations. And this just means that Deliverr's going to give you instructions for packing your shipment to 4 different locations. Whereas if you don't mind it taking longer for inventory to become available for sale, you can ship to a single location. And then what Deliverr will do is it will forward your packages at no cost to you to different fulfillment centers. So it just results in lower shipping costs. Now, there are 2 locations, Deliverr locations. There are 2 locations that we allow sellers to ship to if they're just shipping to one. One of those locations is in California and one of them is in Georgia. And I have seen cases where if stuff is coming from China, I think most of the time it's going to go to the West Coast, in which case you would want to, if you wanted to ship to one and it's going to LA, you want it to ship to LA and then go to our location in just outside of LA in Moreno Valley. But sometimes Chinese addresses, I think, will actually pick the location in Georgia because I think that might be closer sometimes. In which case, if that's happening, then what I would do if I were you is just put in a California address. Ideally, maybe it's like where your stuff is going to be offloaded from China, and then use that as your ship from address. But we'll see here as to what happens. So at this point, I decided that I want to ship to one location. And then have Deliverr forward my packages. And yeah, sure enough, like this did happen. So, right, like our system thinks that Duluth, Georgia is closer to China than our location in California. And I do think that's probably true. I haven't validated this, so I might be wrong. But so Dawn, in your circumstance, I'm going to guess that your stuff's going to come into the West Coast. If that's the case, right? Like I would pick the whichever provider you're using to get your packages offloaded and use their address. And then this will pick a California location for ship to one. Anyways, so the point here is that what you'll see is 4 shipments across the top. Now, what we're doing is within each shipment, you'll see the details of that shipment. So for example, shipment 1, we want packed to have 1 box of 10 units. Shipment 2, we want packed with 1 box it'll be 3 boxes of 10 units each. This will be another box of 10 units, and then this will be 5 boxes of 10 units. What you do is go through and you pick, right? You're not going to be able to ship on Deliverr's rates. If you try to, you're going to end up getting an error. So what I would do in this case is I'll ship on my own rates. And what we're saying here is that the number per box is going to be 10 units and the number of boxes is 1. You press confirm. And then you go on to the next shipment. And let's just say I'll repeat the process. So in this case, it's going to be 10 units per box, 3 boxes. I click confirm. I go to the next shipment. Again, I'm shipping small parcel. number per box is 10, number of boxes is 1. Press confirm, next shipment, and then I reach the final shipment. And let's say again, this would be number of boxes 10, number of boxes is 5. I press confirm. Now, at this point, Deliverr is generating box contents labels, and these are super important for you to attach to your boxes. I'm not sure. Here we go. So then I'll pull this up just so you can see what they look like. So let me change the screen. So here what you see is you get the ship to address. This is some information that we use on our end to receive these boxes at our fulfillment centers. You're going to get the SKU ID. Here there's an error just because of this is an internal test account. So, but you'll see like the unique identifier and Deliverr, the barcode, and the number of units per box. And you'll just go through and pack each box and attach this label to the outside of each box. Don't put it on the area where the box is opened, right? Because it would rip the label in half. You want it like on the side of the box somewhere. And after attaching all those labels, what you then do is you press complete shipments. At this point, what you're going to see is that all the shipments have been completed, right? They'll be green across the top. You can see your box content labels if you need to download them again, a packing list if you needed that beforehand. You can download labels. You'll see details about the shipment. So this is the item, how many units are expected once in this single shipment, and then box information. And as you would then send, all these boxes are going to go to Duluth, Georgia, all these shipments, right? And then at Duluth, Georgia, they're going to be combined with other sellers' boxes that are also going to find different final destinations, and then they'll get shipped out on freight at no cost to you. And then they will all be received in those final destinations. So that right there is how you complete a shipment. I know it was a bit long, but hopefully it gave some helpfulness to you all.
Oh, we did a full inbounds demo.
Yeah, I'm tired now. So so I just see some questions from Dawn on, so yeah, the country is, oh man, Hangzhou, and the SKU ID. So yeah, Dawn, when you create your inbound to Deliverr, just make sure that you pick a West Coast, like use a ship from address on the West Coast. Again, like I would use your whatever provider that you're going to use to do your freight, and then that way you'll be guaranteed to pick if you want to do a ship from location. If you want to ship to our ship to one location, then it will pick Moreno Valley. Just the most important thing, right, always is making sure that the box contents labels are attached to the correct box, and that's how they arrive at Deliverr. Because without that, it becomes, as I think you all can understand, it becomes very difficult to figure out which belongs to whose seller and all that kind of thing. So,
all right. Last question we got that was before the webinar started was, what channels should I be selling on? And so that's, I mean, I think it certainly depends on the item in terms of what you're selling, in terms of where to focus. So typically you have, you have these different marketplaces, then you have your own website. For a marketplace that's non-Amazon, so if you're looking at Walmart, eBay, Wish, Facebook Marketplace, those channels, the types of items that are going to do really well and are doing really well there are going to be cheaper items. So if you look at anything below $30, and then also if you're looking at Wish, below $20, those are there you're going to see really good fit on those different types of marketplaces. If you have a little bit more expensive items, let's say, $50 items, a little more premium products, those also can do well on Amazon. Amazon does caters to both segments. They cater to a price-conscious buyer, but they also do cater towards, buyers who are willing to spend a little bit more. And for that type of buyer, the channel that we're seeing that works the best with it is like your own website, Shopify, or BigCommerce or different e-commerce platforms that are similar to that. In terms of what I've noticed in terms of, okay, how do I make Shopify work versus how do I make a non-Amazon Walmart or non-Amazon marketplace work? A lot of it has to do with the focus you're able to put into it, but also making sure like you're hitting your demographics right. So like you're able to figure out, okay, where do buyers discover my product, and based on that, figuring out what are the different sales channels that I think can capture that. So for example, if you think most of your buyers discover your product through Google Shopping, then you want to be on Walmart, you want to be on definitely Google Shopping Actions or Buy on Google, you want to be on eBay, and then potentially your own Shopify store where you bid on that shopping volume. Let's say you think most of your buyers come in through Instagram, they're more high priced and they're higher spending buyers. Well, then you really want to be on your own website, your own Shopify store, and you want to run very aggressive Facebook campaigns. And that understanding around where buyers find out is typically tied to your selection. So if your selection is more mainstream, you're going to see buyers find out about your items primarily through search, Google Shopping. If your item's more niche, buyers are going to find out about your items probably on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, and there you want to really leverage your own website. And so that'll give you an idea when you kind of go beyond Amazon where to look. Amazon's unique in that it caters to both niche and mainstream. However, mainstream products are getting tougher because their 1P selection is really improving. But on these other channels, like Walmart's really going to cater to the more mainstream products. eBay is going to be more mainstream products. Niche is going to be harder because when you look at the ratio between their traffic to selection, they don't have as much traffic as Amazon does. So they're going to siphon off volume to more mainstream products than more niche products. But if you have niche, like for example, like keto products, items around weight loss, that's going to really do well on your own website. So that's kind of like a basic starter in terms of how to think about it. If you have more questions around it, just feel free to ask us. We've seen a ton of examples, what works, what doesn't work, but we're always learning and seeing new things. Alrighty, I think we got through everything.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in a few weeks.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye now.
Bye.